All right. All right. This is the first. I should say the first. This is the second first podcast for the UNC Charlotte Investment Club. We have four previous podcasts that were never uploaded and thought lost forever, but I was able to get them back from UNC Charlotte, and I have them, and we will upload them at the end of this semester, so that way people can, see those as extras, I guess. I don't know, but this is the one. This is the first one that we are starting ourselves and running ourselves. And I'm gonna answer some questions of any listener that might be listening. Like, what is this about? This is about the stock market in general, and we have no script. We have no idea what we're going to talk about today because there are endless things to talk about when you are a stock market nerd. That is what we are passionate about. Today, I have a member, Zaid, and I also have the investment club treasurer, Brad, here. And we will be uploading to YouTube and to Spotify. So the audio only version will be on Spotify, and this, Zoom meeting version will be on YouTube. But anyway, sit back, relax, and hopefully you enjoy this show. So, guys, how you doing? You're
I'm
good?
doing great, Gabe. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm living the dream. Brad, how are you?
Yep. Also doing well.
Okay, Brad, I happen to know for a fact that you have some money into American Airlines. I know that for technical reasons, as a trader, not an investor. By the way, the investment club is about investing, but in here we're probably going to talk about trades or trading or stuff like that. But let me pick on you a little bit, Brad. You're down a lot, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Down a lot on your trade, and you're doing an options trade, so you bought some calls. When do they expire?
I unfortunately do have quite a few. And I have a myriad of calls on American Airlines. As Gabe alluded to, they have not been doing great, so I have had to keep buying in. At the earliest, they expired the 21st of this month. At the date of recording, it is now the 16th. So I am 100 million% gonna lose money on those. I will say every time I kept buying in, I extended my time horizon a little bit, and lowered my strike price. So I'm still hoping for a net win. But since I initially started buying calls, American Airlines is officially down 44%. So I timed that excellently.
And
Yeah.
if you don't mind me asking, what day did you start buying American Airlines?
Dude, okay, I'm not I thought their earnings were going to be good, right, guys? But I'm an idiot. And they were good, but the outlook was bad, so it didn't go well. They had earnings on the 23rd of January, so I bought on the 22nd,
Okay.
and then it went badly.
Well, I have good news for you. Like, I'm looking at them right now. That's a good thing about doing a podcast at home on the computer via Zoom instead of like at school in the
Yeah.
media area. Is they are extremely oversold, and
Yes.
I
Yes.
do I do think that they are going to recover some. I don't know enough for you to make money. What's your strike price?
My March 21 is at 18, so those are absolutely gone. I have May 16th calls at 17, and I have July 18th calls at 12, and then since I'm really smart, I also bought in my Roth. I have June 20th, 16 calls. So every time I've gotten more conservative, but I'm losing money on at least some of those.
I don't think you're gonna lose money on all of them. So there's that.
I
But
I hope so, because I'm down over a grand right now.
right, so the market is down 10%, and American Airlines is down a whopping
44.
44. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so dude, every day has been red with them. Like literally almost every single day.
Yeah.
It's really hard to look at sometimes. Right when I think it can't go lower, it goes lower. And I mean that happens to everyone eventually, but yeah, this was not my brightest moment.
Well, I'm looking at their fundamentals, and at the current valuation, they are a profitable company, right? And they are so oversold. So like if I wanted to buy American Airlines right now, this would actually be a good entry for a short
Yeah.
term or midterm play. They they're at a PE of below 10. Um they are at a price of sales of 0.13.
Yep. Yeah,
Uh
the fundamentals are good. That's why before I did all this, I looked at that, and then the technicals at that time weren't the reason, but that's why I made the gamble. So it wasn't just me YOLOing. And now the technicals are good because RSI is at 19. You could argue that it's a falling knife, but a knife can only also fall so far. Not to
well,
say that it can't go lower, but
so the falling knife thing, I can give a very good argument how the bottom is probably in, because when the fundamentals are as good as they are, a falling knife, um, if someone told you that you can buy a dollar for 80 cents, you would buy as many dollars as you could,
yeah,
right?
for sure.
And that's that analogy is like American Airlines right now. Um, it's extremely cheap. I don't know if it's worth more. I'm looking that up right now. The book value. Uh,
I'm still very bullish on them. If it goes down more, I'm gonna keep buying.
yeah, the book value. It's really close to being. It's really close, and this never happens in the stock market. You always have to pay more, but it's really close to being to being literally evaluated what it's exactly worth, which everyone knows that in the stock market you pay a premium for companies. I can quantify it like this: over the past 10 years, no, excuse me, over the past 3 years, let me do 10 years. So 2020, let's go to back 2015. Over the past 10 years, the average PE for this company is 10, price to earnings, and that's the average. Right now, the latest is 8. So on that metric, it
Good.
is cheap. It is cheaper than over the last 10-year average. So based on that, it's also a good entry. So I say you just keep on dollar cost averaging into your more conservative plays, and I
Yeah.
think that'll help you break even or even make some money.
There's no way I'm going to the 18 strike again.
Don't. Yeah, don't.
Yeah, that was
But
bad. So
I would say I don't know what strike your farthest out options are, but
I think it's
I would dollar cost average into those.
it's 12.
12. Oh, good.
Yeah.
So that's just barely out of the money. Yeah, I would.
Yeah, I just kept going more conservative because I'm getting burned so bad that, you know,
Just I really I want you to like, if you dollar cost average into it, um I think that's a good strategy. This is opinion and this is not recommendation to buy, but this is what I would do for sure. Is I would dollar cost average in to your farthest out options, and that way, as your older ones expire worthless and you lose money on those, you you gain money on your conservative phase. I do think American Airlines will bounce. Um, I don't know what they will bounce to. I do think they might even get right back up to 19 before the end of the year. But I do think they're going to go on a big rally. And the reason I
kind
think
of
that is
looking for 15 and a half is probably my ceiling on this. But yeah,
okay. I think let me Zaid, have you ever heard of, oh no, you have heard. Yeah, because I told you about it, and then in Zaid fashion, you think you can actually do it yourself. I was gonna say Elliott Wave.
Elliott Wave, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I still do believe I can do it myself. If
Sure,
someone
I
can
don't
do it, I
know.
can do it
Believe
better.
in yourself. That's important. Not me. I pay for a service.
All right, I would like to make a comment on American Airlines. If you do the swing low on the weekly time frame, the very low point of our last low for the structure, I'll put it up on my
Were you
screen.
talking about fib?
Oh, don't
Yeah.
realize your screen. You can, but talk. Remember, most people are just going to be listening only. This is not a visual.
Oh, okay. So we have almost perfectly traced down to 0.786, and we're at 31 flat on the weekly RSI. And the stochastic, which I know Gabe doesn't use, we're at 2.82, which is oversold on the stochastic RSI as well.
Yeah.
So it's definitely American Airlines is definitely looking pretty nice right now. Now that you bring it to my attention, around this price, I mean, I hate investing in airlines.
Yeah, I wouldn't invest in an airlines, but for a trade, yeah.
Something goes left and right. But for a short-term opportunity, especially how quickly we dropped, we are oversold on the daily.
So here's good news for you, Brad.
I'd look at it more.
On the service that I pay for, Elliott Wave is extremely bullish. It's literally saying it's about to start its most bullish wave, which is 3, which we've talked about.
Damn, their price ceiling is really high. Is that daily?
This is the weekly.
Okay.
Right? So this is saying that it's going to make new all-time highs. But when do the $12 strikes that you have expire?
They expire July 18th.
4 months. Yeah,
I think that's my furthest.
Yeah. Let's look at the daily.
Yeah, July 18th.
This represents, so 1 month, right, is, let's do this. This is my non-scientific way of doing it. I have to like see how much a month is in distance.
Yeah, like you look at a map and it's like it's about 4 fingers.
Right, exactly. So if 1 month is about, oops, I'd have to do this on PowerPoint. I would say I would say 16 personally. That's my eyeballing it. I'd say that according to Elliott wave theory, I think 16 will be in. So if you bought the 12s, how much did you pay for the 12s? What's your dollar cost average for the 12 calls?
101.
All right, cool. 101. So if it goes to 16, that's 400%.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So, there's hope. There's hope.
Yeah. I got a lot of chips on them, so I'm really hoping. I will say I started averaging again on Monday, and it went down on Monday. So I bought Monday, went down 6% more on Tuesday, had to buy more, went down 3% on Wednesday, had to buy more after that. Thursday was flat, Friday was up. So
yeah. So I'm rooting for you, American Airlines. As a matter of fact, I'm so bullish now just looking at the technicals that, do we own American Airlines in our competition?
yeah, we do.
We do?
Started it when I liked it, but after the first sell-off.
So we're down a lot.
Yeah, we're definitely down,
so
but we do have it.
We need to add to it. Basically, we need to sell off some winners and add to it. If you guys don't know, Zaid, if you don't know, Brad and I are in a competition, a worldwide competition called the Chicago Quantitative Alliance. And we represent University of North Carolina at Charlotte.
Yeah, I think I heard about it. I heard that you guys made one really big mistake in that competition and you didn't add me in onto your team.
How do you know about that?
But it's something we can fix next year.
You're a horrible teammate. I don't know if I would want you as a teammate.
Yeah. I would say I'm doing pretty good.
Dude, there's no crypto.
It's up and down when there's no crypto, really.
All right.
You're also in like last place on the market one.
For those that don't know, I am in. We hold a little competition just in the group with fake money. I got in there, and on first day, I put everything into leveraged cryptos, so MSTR and Grayscale 2x ETF for Ethereum. I did about a 60-40 split. And for people keeping up with the crypto market, we are down about 25% since then.
So
But
even though you're in last place in our investment club challenge, right, Zaid? Why don't you let's pivot away from American Airlines, and why don't you tell us about, remember, with your words, Zaid, because this is a podcast, so don't say look at the screen this and look at the screen that.
okay.
Tell us what are your thoughts on Bitcoin?
On Bitcoin. Man, Bitcoin has been in the last, I'd say, month and a half, has been on a down absolute tear. Our price was previous high of around like 110,000 back in the end of January. And recently, as in, I'd say last week, we reached all the way down to 76,000. So, as you can do simple math in your head, that's about a 30% drop. Bitcoin is an absolutely beautiful purchase. If you guys have been keeping up with the news as well, more crypto laws have rolled out. So I believe
Tell us
the
about them.
Bitcoin. So a bunch of new crypto laws have rolled out. One of the most biggest shocker would be that the reserve that Trump was in for the reserve that would include Solana, ADA, which is Cardano, and XRP. So XRP is a big one that people that are in crypto know. But Solana and Cardano are like runner-ups. I believe Solana is, unless we're counting unless we're counting stable coins like USDC, USDT, Solana is in fifth place or fourth place for all-time market caps, most money invested in for cryptos. And XRP, everyone knows, but ADA was a runner. I believe ADA is all the way down in seventh place for highest market cap. So people didn't really expect someone like President Trump to say, yeah, we're going to make a reserve and we're going to include these coins as well. We're going to have a Solana reserve. We're going to have a Cardano reserve. We're going to have, well, Ripple again. People are expecting that. A big problem in the crypto market right now is people are not, or news is not talking about Ethereum. Ethereum is probably on the lowest of all. So if you don't already know about the crypto cycle, every 4 years we end up making all new time highs on everything. It has been the same since crypto came out. First, Bitcoin makes an all-time high, and then Ethereum makes an all-time high, and then it goes down from there to your main net, your mid caps, and your small cap coins, which meme coins is the last. But every single cycle, Bitcoin has created a new high, and Ethereum created one right after. So last cycle, I believe Bitcoin was at like 68, 70,000 was the all-time high during the last cycle, and Ether went up to let me check the chart so I'm not wrong about quoting this. About 4,800 on the last cycle was the all-time high. And so this cycle, Bitcoin broke its all-time high of that, and it went up to 110,000. Ether still has not broken an all-time high. In fact, Ether's price from last all-time high during last cycle of 4,800, Ether's current price is $1,890. Extremely cheap, right? One thing I think people should talk about, and a lot of people don't know this, but Trump is a part of a crypto company called World Liberty Financial. World Liberty Financial, Gabe, I don't know if you've heard it before. It's basically a crypto investment fund, but you can't invest into it because it's not legally allowed by the SEC when you start reading through their whatever. So you can put money in there to invest in it, but you're not guaranteed a single penny back. It's not worth a single dollar. They still give you shares, though. All that gives you is board decisions. So this company, while Trump is doing all these things, excluding Ethereum, they have been buying up more Ethereum than they have Bitcoin. I believe their last purchase was 4 or 5 days ago. Actually, it was probably a week ago now, a week and a half. They purchased $110 million of Ethereum, and they purchased only about 90 something million dollars in Bitcoin. And this trend, if you look at their purchase history, continues. You're seeing people like Trump, you're seeing all these big players, they're purchasing up Ethereum while Ethereum is getting dumped by the common market because it's not being included in this new era we're in of crypto where Bitcoin's being talked about in the laws, XRP's being talked about, but Ether's getting left out in the shadow. So if you believe that Ether's not going to die, which of course I know Gabe doesn't, he's a Bitcoin maximalist. He'll only want Bitcoin, and in the long term, I do agree. The majority of cryptos will go to zero. But if you believe like there's something going on here, we're at 1800. Last bull run, we were at 5,000. This is the first cycle. This has never happened. And you see people that are like in power, lawmakers, buying up large sums of it, then I think Ethereum could possibly be one of the best purchases of the year.
Okay.
By far at the price of
That's
18.
fine. I disagree with you. And I only believe in Bitcoin, and I won't get into other. I'm sure you can, but I won't, because Bitcoin
100%.
Bitcoin is the one true. It's there's a finite amount of Bitcoin. I know that there's technically a finite amount of Ethereum, but it isn't what has the most backing. And I'm not going to sit here and talk about Bitcoin like I'm a Bitcoin expert, because I'm not, because there's a lot of technical jargon to say, but it's not. So let's pivot away from Bitcoin, because if anyone was listening to us, they left. I'm obviously talking about the future because we're not broadcasting to anyone right now, but that was very boring. Zaid, you are very boring to listen to when it comes to crypto, and I hate you very much.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Gabe.
I'm just kidding. You know what, Zaid? I found out something recently about our friend Brad here. That he is politically on the left, and that's interesting, because I wouldn't have thought that because of his fiscal mind. So, Brad, we're not going to get into politics per se, but do you think, as far as the stock market is concerned, that a left, and we can look at history. So I'm not saying what has historically happened. What do you think is better for the people, in the long term? If the next president, not this one, but the next one, had to be one thing, do you think it would be better for the people to be Democratic, or would it be better for the people to be Republican, and why? And then I'll give you my answer.
Well, okay. There's a lot of moving parts, and the thing is that the people is a really broad range. You're never gonna, there's no person that's best for all people. Um, and I don't
No,
off the
not
top
all. In general, Brad. In general, the
yeah.
people in general, the country, the people in general.
There's no one person that's going to be the best for the US people. It it would just have to depend on who the candidate was. There's definitely some right winged political figures that I align more with others. So I mean it just depends on a lot of that. The market wise tends to perform better under Republican presidency. So if
I actually
that's
don't know if that's true.
That
I'm pretty
actually is
sure it's
true.
true.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
market does perform better under Republican presidency.
I don't know if that's true. I really don't. Not all.
I believe there is a statistics about it.
Well, now I know it's not definitely true, because you just said I believe. I can look it up. I have Google right in front of me. Um, um, overall, overall, do Republicans presidents outperform Democratic presidents as far as stock market? I should have asked ChatGPT. I'm asking Google.
Yeah.
Okay, look at that. Boom, you're wrong. since World War II, right? Which that's fair. That's when we became a powerhouse. It's after World War II. The United States economy has performed significantly better on average under Democratic presidents than Republican presidents.
I believe counting into that fact is Nixon and George W. Bush were both during two of our largest recessions we've ever had. But I'm pretty sure the median is much higher for Republicans still, but statistically speaking, the average probably is lower.
Well, there you go. I just proved Zaid wrong. Perfect.
And Brad, Mr.
And Brad. Okay,
Okay, wait. Well,
Zaid wrong.
so let me
I
give you
just looked
my
it up. The best performing situation, okay, according to ChatGPT, so grain of salt, is a Democratic presidency with a split Congress, which is kind of interesting.
yeah, but now we're getting into the minutia and the weeds, and I didn't ask all that, right? But so let me give you my reason and rationale. I believe, right, given the hypothetical scenario where one president, one kind of the next president would be the last party of the presidency, so either only Democratic or only Republican. I would choose only Republican, and here's why. It's because of the long run, right? The fact of the matter is that Democratic presidents are the reason that we have so much debt, because the Democratic Party likes to increase the ceiling. They like to throw all this money at all these things. I'm not, even though Doge, which is another thing we're going to talk about, but even though Doge is finding all of this fraud, waste, and abuse, I'm not even bringing that into play. Something that I know is that the Democratic Party likes to increase spending and the Republican Party likes to reduce spending overall. And we have been under more Democratic rule as of late. So I'm talking 8 years of Obama. I'm talking 4 years of Biden. We had 4 years of Biden, 8 years of Obama, 4 years of Trump. So that's 12 years of Democrats and 4 years of Republicans. And we are where we are now, right? Just using those last ones. And I blame solely the Democratic Party for it. I'm not talking about any other things other than the spending. That's all I'm talking about. And because I am so fiscally minded, I think that if I had to pick everything else to the side for that fact and that fact alone, I would prefer a Republican president. Now, granted, the two-party system sucks. I wish we had other choices, but we don't.
Yeah.
Let's try to stay in reality as much as we can, even though it's a hypothetical. That's why I would choose a Republican, and it's for that fact and that fact alone. Because Brad and Zaid, if we continue to get into debt, that is how our legacy. That'll be the end of our legacy. That's how we will default. That's how we will get into what's called hyperinflation, and that'll be the demise of our country. And people will leave our country. We won't. The only good news is that we won't have the illegal problem anymore, because people won't be fighting to come into this country anymore, because everybody will be poor.
Yeah, I do agree that government spending is a bit egregious, and I really wish we could implement a system where like the big four accounting firms could literally audit all government spending and get like real numbers on this, because there's a lot of spending that's just generally unaccounted for as well.
So I'm definitely not trying to turn this into a political podcast, but this has so much to do with the stock market, and it's talking about finance that I think is pertinent. So Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, headed by Elon Musk, right, where they basically audit all of these government entities and have found out so much fraud, waste, and abuse. Like the latest thing is the government of education. I don't know if you guys saw that. We got USA, the government education. Zaid, did you know, this is crazy, and these numbers might not be exactly, but they're close, of whatever I don't want to spend this time on this thing looking at Google, right? So I have to go off of memory. But whatever the the budget is for the government for the Department of Education. It's in the billions. It's in the 200 something billions that I remember per year. Zaid, give me a guess, and don't look anything up. Give me a guess. What percent of that budget, which is 200 and something billion a year, what percent of that money do you think goes directly to schools and actually increasing the education of children?
Speaking from just experience of growing up in the public school system, I'd say around 10% or less.
25%.
That's still
And it's
way,
higher than what you said because you're a catastrophizing son of a gun, but it's still too low. And you know what Doge found out? Doge found out, listen, this is fact. What I'm about to say is fact. Okay. Doge found out that the majority of the money goes to consultants. And then that money goes to NGOs, non-government organizations. And then those NGOs then basically, quote unquote, donate the money to the side of their choice, whether it's Republican or Democrat. But do you know what percentage of the money goes to the Democrat side that they have found?
I'm guessing the majority.
Yeah, but guess what percent? You're right. It is the majority.
What percent of what's left over? What percent of the total?
Yeah, what percent of the so 25% goes to 25% goes to actual schools. So then 75% goes to consultants, which then gets, processed down. They keep some and they give it to the NGO. They keep some, and then the rest they donate. Of the money that they donate, what percent do you think goes to the Democratic Party?
37.
It's got to be over 50.
Over 90. Over 90. Over 90%. Remember, over 90% of the money that does go towards one side or the other goes to the Democratic Party. It's basically money laundering. Yeah, I said it. It's money laundering.
I mean, to be fair, if we look back at who owns the majority of what we have to learn, like I'm sure you're all familiarized with like McGraw-Hill, et cetera, et cetera.
Unfortunately.
So do
No
you guys
smart
know
book
who
assignments,
owned
dude.
McGraw-Hill last?
Say again?
Do you guys know who owned McGraw-Hill last?
No, who?
So it was actually, you guys know who Giselle Maxwell is?
No.
I've heard, yeah, Giselle Maxwell, yeah.
Yeah, they don't put her in the spotlight much, but she was Jeffrey Epstein's partner.
Yeah.
Giselle Maxwell's father was a former agent of Mossad, and I believe she did or he did owned McGraw-Hill. Fun fact. But that's just a conspiracy. It's just a coincidence. Just conspiracy theories.
No.
How and why do you know that?
Hey,
Bro, because if you start tracing back a lot of things lead to the same areas.
No, dude. He was like, who made these goddamn smart book assignments? That's what you and then you went down a rabbit hole.
yeah, like that sounds very familiar to back when the second Bush was president and we invaded Iraq. Tell me if this isn't conflict of interest. So the biggest contract that the government had was with a company called Kellogg Brown and Root, KBR. Guess who was the CEO of KBR?
I would love to know.
Someone with the initials of that.
The vice president.
Wow.
And what was who was the vice president at the time?
I forget. Never mind. Man. KBR CEO in 2006. Okay, so I was wrong. It wasn't the CEO. Who was the vice president? Because it'll come to me. Who was vice president? See, I'm glad we're doing this because we could fact check ourselves. Yeah, Dick Cheney. There it is. Okay.
Dick Cheney. Okay.
Yeah, and so Dick Cheney. What position was Dick Cheney in KBR? He was the CEO of Halliburton. Okay, see, I wasn't wrong. He was the CEO of Halliburton, which is a parent company of KBR. Okay, I was right. See, I knew I wasn't wrong. So Dick Cheney, which was the vice president, was at the same time the fucking CEO of Halliburton. And it just so happened that KBR, not Halliburton, KBR, which was the parent company, Halliburton was the parent company of KBR, had the largest government contract. I mean, I was deployed in 0506. My first deployment was 0506, and KBR is everywhere. They did everything from the laundry to the food to the supply services, everything logistical KBR did. But the point of making this is it's because you know we live in a corrupt fucking system, guys.
Extremely.
Yeah, and no one can tell me that is not the biggest example of conflict of interest, and yet it still happened. And yet it still happens. So for people to not think that these things happen, that they're not always conspiracies, it's just that they're living in another world. And bring this back to Doge. I think Doge is trying to stop that. And I believe in a free market, right? To wrap it all into the stock market again, which is what we're talking about. I believe in a free market, but I like to think I'm an honorable person. And I would like a true free market. I don't want a corrupted free market. All right. And I think it's impossible to live in La La Land and think that it can be with zero corruption, but holy macaroni, man, we need a lot less.
I
We
mean,
need
we
a lot.
also ran a car commercial for Tesla at the White House last week, so
Yeah, that was very funny.
Yeah.
fucking stupid, but
Yeah, you know what? And I am pro Elon. I'm pro Republican. I don't like that either because
yeah, that was
it
dumb.
it sets,
It
you
says
got
a worldwide tone.
God, there's so many perspectives to it. I'm so glad you said that, Brad,
It's just not a good look.
because while Biden was president, he literally gave no credit to Tesla for the electric vehicle, and he gave the most credit to, are you ready? Chevrolet. No, Chevrolet,
Oh, okay.
which they don't do anything. It's crazy. It's a crazy world. We live in a crazy fucking world. Man, I don't even want to think about it. So anyway, we got like 10 minutes left. Let's talk about our favorite individual picks going forward. So I'm gonna start, okay, because I don't want you guys stealing my ideas because I know you've heard me talk about them. So I'm very bullish on these companies. I'm very bullish on SMCI as a short term, so 1 to 3 months, 1 to 3 month trade. And as you know, Zaid and Brad, I called it out in our Discord the other day, and literally the next day it was up 8%. So
Yeah, it was.
so that was fun. I'm very bullish on SMCI. Let's see. I'm actually very bullish on Tesla. Technically,
Yeah.
I think they've fallen a
For
lot.
long term.
Yeah. And last one, and this is the only one that's gonna have a little asterisk next to it. And you're gonna like this, Zaid. I'm extremely bullish on MSTR, MicroStrategy. I think that Bitcoin, just like the market, has hit its bottom. And because MSTR is kind of like a leveraged Bitcoin play, I think MSTR in 2025 is going to reach new all-time highs. And that is saying a lot because it really, really ran.
Yeah, because
Those are my three favorite stocks. So what do you guys think of that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
MSTR. I love it. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the last all-time high was $560.
It was around there. Yeah.
Yeah, so uh, especially since I believe they have recently buying it.
540.
Yeah. Okay, so I believe they have been buying up more amounts, which doesn't make too much of a difference, but at a cheaper price.
No, they haven't. MSTR has not bought.
They were buying at 90,000, were they not?
Yes, but they didn't buy in the 80s.
Yeah.
They haven't bought any in the 80s.
Well, before they bought in the 90s, I believe they were buying past 100.
God, I wish they bought in the 80s, but they didn't.
Yeah.
Because
Uh,
yeah. Okay.
MSTR. I love it. Love it.
Had a
Love it.
really
Love
good
it.
Friday, too.
Currently, uh, as a crypto maximalist, Bitcoin in specific is my number one go-to. I actually
All right, we got 6
recently
minutes. So answer the question so both of you can get your three. Okay. So thank you, Zaid, for your very insightful
You're
Bitcoin work.
welcome, Gabe. You're
Brad,
welcome.
what do you think?
Well, American's my number one. We already talked about that. So
Right.
you guys
American. What's your
should,
price in 3 months? What's your price target? Your personal,
in
based on
three
nothing but what
months,
you think.
in 3 months, I think we'll be at like 14, 13 and a half or 14.
Wait, how many months are we away from the expiration of your July what?
End of July, I think. 16th, maybe.
Okay, so that's like 4 months.
Yeah.
Okay, so in 4 months, where do you think it'll be?
In 4 months, I think it'll be around 15. And then I
Okay.
think the peak for like this first half of the year is 15.5,
Okay.
but I'll be out by then.
What are your other two stocks?
I really like Nvidia right now just because it's appearing to have bounced and it's really cheap right now. And then my third pick, I really like ANET right now. Tom Nash shouted this one out and I looked at it. They have really interesting financials from an accounting guy. They don't have any debt, and they have a lot of what is it? Deferred revenue. So they got a lot of stuff contracts locked in for the future, which is really good. They've also fallen a lot on our sell-off. RSI was at like 20 something this week. So I think right now is the bottom. It looks like it's about to bounce. So I
ANET,
really like that right now.
ANDT.
AT. Yeah. We have it in our competition.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's your
So
third?
that is my third. American,
Oh
Nvidia,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. Okay.
yeah.
All right. I'll look at
Asterisk,
ANET.
none of this is financial advice.
Yeah, none of this is financial advice. All right, Zaid,
But
you're
you
up.
should all buy American.
No, can't say that.
Kidding.
Can't say
All
that.
right. So short-term play, Lyft. Gabe actually was the first one to put me on about it. I think someone in our group told us to look at it, and I've recently purchased it 4 or 5 days ago at $11.40 a share. I think it's a
Nice.
great short-term play for the next month, possibly two.
I love Lyft, but long term.
But long term, I actually do not agree with the long-term play. If we had more time, I'd love to discuss it with you. I do think it will, of course, go up, but I think eventually we'll get shot out of the rideshare business by autonomous vehicles because they are not going to win that race.
Okay,
But
long
here's
term is
one
1
that,
year. Long term is 1 year or more. So we're only
yeah.
looking at 1 year. So they're not okay. But go ahead.
But here's one that I'm sure you guys definitely know of. But I actually bought the Palantir dip on Tuesday,
Same.
I believe, at $75 a share. I think that was a very great price. I as well bought Nvidia. Love both those companies because they're leaders. I do think Nvidia in the long term. I think analysts are a little bullish on their on how much revenue percent growth. I believe they have it for 40% next year and 20% the following year. I think that's bullish as more people enter the artificial intelligence space. Their growth is gonna slow down faster than analysts have predicted, but I still like the current price of it.
No, I mean, if we had more time, we could talk, but I disagree. I think they're sandbagging. I
Okay,
think
yeah,
they're being conservative.
well, I'd love to talk about it. And then let me go to get my last one in. I'm still bullish on Elf Beauty. I recently increased my position size. As you guys know, I have lost a lot of money on the contracts. I bought right before earnings. Earnings made it drop an additional 20-30%. But I am still bullish on Elf Beauty. I have increased my position now that we're in the 60s. And other than that, crypto, of course. Been
All
buying
right.
as much crypto I can recently.
All right. So I like in the short term SMCI, MSTR, and what was my second? Because MSTR was my third. What was my second?
What was your second? Oh man. You talked about MSTR for there was Tesla.
Oh yeah,
It was
Tesla. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I like Tesla as a trade too.
SMCI, Tesla, right? And I'm gonna go ahead and make a spreadsheet. As a matter of fact, Brad, do me a favor, write down these three and the date. So today's date, Gabe is these three, Brad is your three, and then Zaid is those three. And then in 3 months, put a reminder or something. Let's talk about them.
Tesla, MSTR, and what? What was the other?
SMCI.
SMCI.
As of March 16th.
And what was Zaid? Sorry.
Zaid was.
Oh yeah, he was Lyft, Elf.
And what else?
I'd rather have MSTR up there, but you already mentioned it. Palantir.
Yeah, Palantir. So yeah,
Well,
okay, and then your three, and
yeah.
then just for shits and giggles, we'll see who did best.
Let's run it. But yeah, now that you guys have heard it 2 times in this podcast, if you're gonna buy calls the night before earnings, be quite careful.
Yeah, don't just
the chances of getting burned are high.
Don't buy calls. Just say don't buy calls. Don't buy calls.
If you don't know what you're doing, especially don't
stay away from options if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, please.
But anyway, this concludes our very first podcast. Not the first one we've ever done, but the one we're doing and doing ourselves and uploading. So hopefully we will have this uploaded today. That's the goal. I got to create the YouTube channel for us. And
subscribe to our YouTube.
I don't give a fuck.
Smash that like button.
We're not gonna we're not doing this to make money or anything. We're doing this just to for people around our campus. So
yeah,
we're not gonna make a dollar off of this, but it is something to be active in and that we're passionate about. All right. Well, Zaid and Brad, thank you for joining the inaugural official podcast. And we should have more people next week to shoot the shit with. So with that said, we out.
May the markets be with us.